Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah. Well, hello there, dummies, and welcome to episode number 31 of the stupidest sports show on earth. My name, of course, is Tim, the Nigerian Nightmare Van Stratton. With me is Rodney Newpol from his back alley, was well-lit back alley. Rodney, how are you today?
You kind of strike me as a Nigerian nightmare, actually.
Many have said that, yes.
I can see the resemblance. I'm doing well. It's our final show of 2024, our 31st episode. Y'all have to follow along and figure out the best 31s in all of sports as we get closer to the end of the show. But looking forward to all the sports we got coming up in the next couple weeks. I'm doing well, thank you.
Since we started doing that whole best number whatever in sports pretty recently, do we need to retroactively go back for the first 23, 24 episodes of the show and do a countdown there? Maybe that'll be a nice Christmas project for us that we can tweet. I don't know, just spitballing here because we started at 25, right?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, Barry Bonds. Yeah, that's right. No, that's good. We could should have done like 12 days of Christmas and done the number 12, 11. And,
I've noticed that I come up with my best programming ideas when it's too late. When we're already well, shit, here's the show. I wish I would have thought of this an hour ago.
Hey, so how about me doing a live show 2 straight hours by myself the other day?
Yeah. Okay. So that's amazing, man. So first of all, thank you to everyone who is joining us today and filtering in. We're going to be talking lots of NFL, college football. Our last show, as Rodney mentioned, of 2024, because, with holiday plans, we're going to be in and out. So we'll be back. I can't remember the exact day that we're going to be back in January. You probably remember though, but little after the new year is when we'll be back. But yes, to what you mentioned, Sunday is when Rodney and our friend Skeeter do their fantasy football show on Sunday mornings. This is, for many people, the first weekend of the fantasy football playoffs. This is exactly when I would want to, if I'm someone who listens to Rodney and Skeeter every single weekend, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. I was like, all right, the stakes are high. We've made it to the playoffs. It's now or never. I need my experts. Sunday morning, about an hour and a half before the show, you find out that your co-host, Skeeter, is sick. He's officially out. He's not coming to the station. It was too late for me to be able to move some things around and make it. So you, who the self-proclaimed not fantasy expert, had to go into the radio station on Sunday morning and do 2 hours, no guests, no co-host, and just talk out of your ass and answer people's questions for 2 hours who are depending on you for fantasy football expertise.
And I got quite a few of them right. I mean, I'll have to go back and run the tape on it, but I BS'd with the best of them after 11 years with Skeeter. I even got to I just can't trust him. I did some of those, right? I use that line. I use you got to watch the weather here because it's minuscule. Mm-hmm. And I used all the different lines, and I thought I kind of killed it. But no, and a few of you that follow this show also listen on Sundays. And actually, the listeners helped me out quite a bit because we had a lot of text. So thank you to our listeners and also those listeners as well.
It's crazy to me because we both at a time used to do an hour solo on the radio every day. And so if I was still in that mode, I feel like I would be able to do it. Now, pretty much 3+ years removed from that, you threw me in the station for an hour, I'd be floundering. 2 hours, I don't know what I would do. And you didn't really have time to prepare for it. You just had to go in about an hour and a half before your show and was like, all right, well, something's got to be on the air.
Yeah, no, it was fun though. I did freak out about an hour and a half before, and I'm like, I don't know if this is gonna happen. But then I was like, you know what? We're just gonna talk. We're gonna talk for 12 minutes at a time. We're gonna take a 3-minute break, and we're gonna talk another 12 minutes at a time. But the listeners, the whole point of this is I'm crediting the listeners for flooding the text line with the shows. But I did one, and I know this is our show, but one more fantasy focus, and you are going to be the co-host. So shout out to you. You and Skeeter are going to run the show while I'm basking in the Florida sunshine on Sunday. So thanks for taking my spot.
Yeah, I told Skeeter I don't want him to be sick ever, but if he chose the right weekend to get sick, because if he was sick this upcoming Sunday when you were in Tampa, I would not be doing that show solo.
No, probably not.
Well, mostly because I don't have a key to get into the building and no one's there on Sunday mornings. So I physically couldn't do the show even if I wanted to. So
yeah, no, that's true. But no, so tune in 101.1 Sports Radio. Skeeter will post the link on Sunday. So if you're not in the area, you follow from somewhere else, you want to hear Tim and Skeeter. And hey, Tim, here's what I suggest. Do everything in your power to just throw Skeeter off. Just throw him off. Just throw him for all sorts of loops. Get his reactions going. Get his temperature rising. Get his heart rate beating a little bit.
You know what I'm going to do? What I'm going to do? I know he's not listening right now, so I'll just tell you.
Ever.
I think like throughout the course of the 2 hours, every so often, I'm going to drop a fake news report. That's definitely not true. Be like, oh, sounds like Barkley's out today. How do we feel about Miles Gainwell? Miles Gainwell or Derrick Henry or Kenneth Gainwell. Kenneth Gainwell. Or you know what? Screw it. I'll call him Miles Gainwell anyway, just to really just mess everything up. But and then another 20 minutes pass and be like, oh, sounds like Josh Allen's questionable now, and you just keep throwing these nuggets out there just to really mess with them.
Yeah, but no, listen in Sunday, and Tim and Skeeter will get you taken care of.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I just love, though, that right as the playoffs start, the three most important weeks for fantasy football players. The first one is just you. The second one is not you, but instead me and Skeeter. And then the third one, spoiler alert, is just no one. Just no one. Championship week, good luck. I mean, at that point, though, like if you're in the championship and you're like, oh, God, who am I going to play? I would be amazed that you're even in the championship to begin with. At that point, your team should be pretty good. Like, you know what you know, and then you go for it.
Yeah. We have found that over the years, like weeks 4 through 12 are the busiest.
Mm-hmm.
Like 1, 2, 3, like you're not necessarily questioning your guys. Like, here's the guys you drafted, here you're playing. And then you start getting injuries, and then you start getting dudes that suck or dudes that are like, oh, maybe I should look at him. And then after like 12, you start getting into playoffs, and then you have a percentage of people that don't play anymore because they're eliminated. And so like 4 through 12 are our busiest. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how many questions you'll get on Sunday because you're probably looking at Final Four. So you're looking at 25 to 50% of your audience, maybe not even tuning in because they're done. Their league is over.
And also, the second they hear my voice, they're like, nope.
Nope. We got rid of him 3+ years ago.
Where's Rodney? I want Rodney.
Yeah. They can tweet me. They can tweet me. How about that?
Regular NFL week 15 wraps up, and I'm ready to make a proclamation.
Yeah. I
think we just witnessed the worst week of primetime football games of all time.
Yeah. So 49ers Rams on Thursday, bad.
12-6, not a single touchdown.
Yeah. Seattle and the Packers was pretty bad if you're anybody but a Packer fan.
Yeah, 30-13, not close. Geno Smith got hurt. Yeah, not at all fun. And then, hey, we have 2 Monday night games. Surely one of them will be great, right? Right? Nope. Just, I mean, the Vikings Bears was at no point was it close or interesting or good. Falcons Raiders was one of the worst football games I think anyone had seen because somehow, as bad as the Raiders are, which they are horrendous, the Falcons barely were able to beat them, and the Raiders had an opportunity late. And Desmond Ridder was one throw away from beating the Falcons.
Yeah, not good at all. Very ugly, and I'm not even sure the Raiders wanted to win the game. And you're there like, we might win this game, and then and so we got to give both of us a little credit here. The Kirk Cousins thing, like You called that it was going to happen. I kind of was like, yeah, it might happen. It probably should happen, but it's not going to happen before Monday Night Football.
I think at first, okay, yes, you did preface that last week by saying it's not going to happen before Monday Night Football, and you were correct. But I'm pretty sure the first ever time I brought it up, you were very defiant that it was going to happen.
Well, I mean, all he did is win last night. I mean, Kirk Cousins just continues to win.
Except for the 7 games that he didn't. Yes, but in case you're wondering, yes, about less than 2 hours ago, at the time of recording, the Falcons announced that they are benching Kirk Cousins indefinitely and moving on with Michael Penix Jr. You don't draft a quarterback that high in the first round and just say, hey, you know what, we're just not going to play you. They gave Kirk Cousins a leash. He looked good, and then he didn't. And then, his last 5 games, he's 1-4, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. They're what? Are they a game back of Tampa, or is it 2 now?
They're game back. They won last night, so they're a game back.
Yeah,
but they do own the tiebreaker.
They do, which is huge. Which is huge. Yes.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, just real quick. So Tampa Bay is at Dallas Sunday night.
Yeah.
So that is a game that they should win, but it's a road game. You never know. But that's a game they should win. Then they are hosting the Panthers. That should be a win. Then they end the year hosting the Saints. It's a very easy schedule for Tampa Bay.
Yeah. Yeah. Although that Dallas game's not a gimme.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not a gimme. So that really is the best opportunity, because the Falcons, and we were talking about this, I think, last week when we had this discussion about Michael Penix Jr. If you brought him in now, it's a very sort of soft landing that you're giving him, because you said, okay, if it's not the Raiders, then you have the Giants at home, obviously, very soft. At Washington, which that is the one that could be a little interesting. Washington's defense isn't great, but that's a primetime game against another rookie quarterback. That could be interesting. And then you end week 18 at home against the Panthers. So I mean, the Falcons have to go 3-0. The Bucks are not going to do any worse than 2-1.
You wouldn't think they'd trip up twice. They may lose that Dallas game, but yeah, they have to go 3-0 and hope for a tie in the division and win the tiebreaker. I mean, I think if you're a playoff team, though, one of the playoff teams that's already in, you're kind of hoping Atlanta gets in, because, as we've said before, Tampa's dangerous, and Mike Evans is looking like the Mike Evans of old. Mike Evans is dangerous. And then with a couple running back solutions there in Tampa, and Baker's kind of one of those crazy mofos that might go out and throw for 405 touchdowns in a playoff game. I mean, obviously we haven't seen what Penix can do in Atlanta, but I'm going to guess playoff teams would love to see Penix play his 4th career game as their first round opponent.
Yes. But I think they would also love seeing Kirk Cousins at this point as well.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I think at this point, the only way that's going to happen is if Penix comes down with an injury, right?
So really the answer is, if you're the 5 seed, which is probably going to be Minnesota or Detroit at this point, because now we have to have that conversation. You're praying that you go to Atlanta and face Kirk Cousins or a rookie quarterback, as opposed to Baker and the Bucks.
Yeah.
That's without a doubt.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely don't want to run it. And then, I mean, to go a little bit further, like the 3 seed in the NFC now being the Los Angeles Rams, like, okay, Green Bay, or okay, Washington or Minnesota, whoever comes up with that 6 seed. You've had a really good season, but now you got to run against the Los Angeles Rams, who are playing really well right now.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that too, because there's still a possibility that whoever wins the NFC South. Well, actually, as of right now, Tampa Bay is the 3 seed.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And then because they have the tiebreaker based on win percentage in conference games. So Tampa Bay has the tiebreaker right now against the Rams. So it would be Green Bay at Tampa Bay in the 6 versus 3, and then it would be Vikings at Rams. There. So I would imagine then that if Atlanta wins the division, then Atlanta would be the 4. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. But regardless, I'm 100% with you. If I'm Minnesota or Green Bay or Detroit, whoever those wildcard teams are, I'm praying that I face Seattle or Atlanta as opposed to Rams or Bucks.
Correct. I would 100% agree.
Some real quick. This is just a little off topic, but you were mentioning Tampa Bay. Mike Evans. People were mentioning this online after he had another huge game. Is Mike Evans a first ballot Hall of Famer to you?
I think he probably is. I mean, his career numbers I would have to compare his career numbers with, others. But yeah, I mean, I think he probably is. And like, I think maybe not everybody, but the consensus was, oh, Mike Evans not as good anymore. Maybe, on the other side of his prime. But boy, I mean, looking at his numbers this year, what does he have? He's going to maybe get to 1,000 yards. He's got to have a 250 more in 3 games. That's very possible. What he missed 3 games this season, 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean,
so Mike Evans, I'm looking at his numbers right now. This is his rookie year was 2014. So this is his 11th year, right?
Yeah.
So in his 10 full seasons, he has had 1,000 yards every single year.
Yeah.
He has never not had 1,000 receiving yards. This year, 250 yards in 3 games with no Godwin. He probably does. It's going to be close, and I'm sure that they're really going to be trying to get him there. But then suddenly, let's say he gets there, right? You have a guy who's been in the league for 11 years, has 5 Pro Bowls, probably looking at a 6th. He's won a Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
He's never finished below 1,000 yards. He has probably going to end up with 105 plus touchdowns right now and counting. Like, he's only 30. What? He's
31. He's 31.
He still has a couple years left of being at a really high level. That level of consistency is amazing. And what's amazing to me is, like, you look at those numbers on the surface, it's like, yeah, those are Hall of Fame numbers. But at no point during Mike Evans' career when you said, hey, Rodney, hey, Tim, name the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL today. Mike Evans has never at any point been considered like the top receiver in the league or one of the elite receivers. We were just talking last week. Who are the best wide receivers in the NFL? We gave a whole list of guys. We said Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, like A.J. Brown, all of these different guys. Mike Evans, never a thought. Yeah. And it's been that way his whole career.
Yeah. And maybe is that because of, like, he's just not super flashy. He's just a dude. He's just a dude that goes out and makes plays. And I mean, he's ran through several different quarterbacks too. And I know all these receivers over 11 years probably have, but like,
he's had what? Well, he's had 3. Because his rookie year was 2014, and then the next year was Jameis. Okay, so 4. So whoever Tampa Bay was trotting out his rookie year,
Jameis, Brady, and now Baker.
Yeah, which is pretty good. It's pretty solid. I mean, those are 3 guys who love to throw the football.
Yeah. Speaking of Jameis Winston's bench now, he will be taking the bench. The America's hero, or whatever we like to call it. What's the term they use for Jameis? National treasure.
National, is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's now same spot as Kirk Cousins.
That's too bad. But yeah, the Mike Evans conversation came up this weekend. I just thought it was interesting, and I wanted to know your opinion. Because, I mean, the numbers say that's without a doubt, first ballot Hall of Famer. But at no point have we ever said Mike Evans the number 1 receiver in the league. And normally, the Hall of Famer, you have that at least at some point.
Right. I like that Mike Evans has stayed consistent and stayed loyal to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers too. It doesn't seem like he's been the type that's like, I want out. They've certainly had their highs and lows. I mean, a couple. Yep. I mean, they've been pretty good over the last several years. They were really good, obviously, during the Super Bowl years. But even after Brady, they've still stayed relevant. Baker's done a lot to help that. But I would probably say Baker Mayfield is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Mike Evans. Yeah.
Hey, listen, the way Baker's playing this year.
Yeah. No, Baker's having a great year. And like I said, he's scary in the playoffs.
Yeah. I'm so happy to see how Baker Mayfield's career has ended up. Like it was at a real sort of crossroads, the way that Cleveland sort of did him dirty. But it's awesome to see what he's doing now. He's a top 5 MVP candidate.
Yeah, and Cleveland really botched that. And Cleveland's botched lots of things. And you look at their quarterback situation, and it's laughable that they could just botch what they did there. And then, obviously Deshaun Watson hasn't done much. You bring Jameis in, and he's got some entertainment value, but he hasn't really been all that good.
Yeah.
He hasn't actually been good at all. He just throws it a lot. So, of course, he's going to get some yards. He's going to get in the end zone. But they have a lot of mistakes, and that's a big one for Cleveland.
All right. I have a couple other things to bring up here for NFL. I have to capitulate a little bit and finally admit that after 15 weeks, the 12-2 Eagles might be better than I gave them credit for.
Yeah. They're, in a lot of people's power rankings, they're now number one. It's hard to play anybody over Kansas City, but I do get it, especially without, if Patrick's going to miss some time. So I think it was Dan Patrick, or no, it's Colin Cowherd to put it this way. Like, the Eagles are interesting because they have so many different layers of players. Like, they have young stars, they have old stars, they have emerging stars, they have veterans, they have rookies. They just have all sorts of, and they have the best roster. They have the best roster. Yeah. Now, you can say what you want about Sirianni. I get it. He can be a dope. But he's obviously done something right before to get him to the Super Bowl, not getting him over that hump. We'll see if that happens. So let's be honest. Like, he's going to get tons of heat if they do not win a Super Bowl. It may or may not be his fault, right? Like, just because he loses the NFC title game to a Detroit, to a Minnesota, to a Green Bay. Now, obviously, he may do something dopey that cost him. I get it. But, like, if they just lose, he's gonna take all sorts of heat. And I'm not sure that's necessarily fair. But now he brings it on himself. I get it. But, like, that's a really good team. That is a really, really good team. Them and Buffalo are the two best teams in the league.
That's the other team that I wanted to bring up. Buffalo went 42 points in LA in a losing effort, and then immediately turns around, scores 48 in Detroit, beats the Lions.
Yeah.
Josh Allen, he's now, I think, minus 900 to win the MVP. And this is over Lamar Jackson, who's having a terrific year, over Saquon Barkley, over Jared Goff, over whoever. But Jared Goff ended up another close to 500 yards, 5 touchdowns.
Yeah. No, Jared Goff you would look at Jared Goff. Oh yeah, good season, very good candidate for MVP, but no chance he wins it.
No, but like, great year, but yeah, absolutely right. But Josh Allen, like, another huge game against a really tough opponent.
Yeah.
Now Buffalo is 11-3. They've already got the division wrapped up. Pittsburgh's loss really helps Buffalo, at least in the 2 seed department. They're still 2 games back of Kansas City because Kansas City only has 1 loss still, which is amazing. We'll see what happens with Mahomes and how that plays out. But Bills and Eagles right now, those are the 2 teams that you had meeting in the Super Bowl. And I would say the momentum is definitely pointing up for both of them at this point.
Can I declare something right now?
Yeah, always.
I declare that the system play is officially over.
It might be. Yeah.
It's dead. So, like, the system play of playing the team after they played the Lions, it was smart for a while. But, like, when you get 3,478 injuries to your defense, you can't take out kneecaps anymore. Like, you're just not taking out kneecaps. And
do you know how many players the Lions have on their IR right now?
What is it, 25?
22.
Yeah, that's a lot, including David Montgomery now. So fire up Jahmyr Gibbs in your fantasy championships. Good play there, by the way. But so the system play this week would be the Patriots against the Bills.
Yeah, but no.
No. That's why I'm saying the system plays dead.
Yeah, but so the only also you have to consider that the Packers played them. That was a Thursday night game, right?
Yeah.
It was a Thursday night game. So the extra rest, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you have that extra rest, the system play sort of like, it doesn't really work the same. Now, they have the Bears this week. And then the Bears then play 3 days later, Thursday night, against Seattle.
Which I'm betting the Bears, by the way.
But I'm saying, why? Why would you with the Bears? Where the Bears are 3 days removed from playing Man Campbell's Lions, and now the Lions are at the point where they're in must-win games here because Minnesota is tied with them record-wise.
Because I'm going to be in Vegas and I want to bet the Bears instead of Seattle, right? And it's who's going to be under center for Seattle?
Look who's under center for the Bears.
Yeah, that hasn't gone real well.
No, he's been sacked 12 more times than the next most sacked quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah. So I'm starting to think that maybe Matt Eberflus wasn't the entire reason that this team is 4-8, 4-12, 4-10.
4-10. 4-10. Yeah.
Lost 8 in a row. And it, I know you guys have all seen this, but lost every game since the old player on the sideline waving at the Commanders fans to finish them and go at 5-2. Lost every game since then. That's karma.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's wild too, because so many of those losses in the stretch were like one score games. Like they had a chance to beat the Packers. Their field goal attempt got blocked.
Yeah.
They lost on a Hail Mary attempt. Like there's all of these things that got in the way. They didn't call. They had a timeout in their pocket on Thanksgiving against the Lions. Like all of these different reasons, and so you could be like, well, those are coach or those are fluke things. This team should be much better. But then they have a lot of losses as well that they looked so non-competitive. Which like the last two against San Francisco and against Minnesota, they were just looked abysmal. And then you think back earlier in the year too. Remember week 1 against Tennessee?
Yeah.
That was a game that was one of the rare ones that they won in a game where the offense was horrible, didn't do anything, and they had 2 defensive touchdowns.
Yeah. Will Levis basically handed that one to him.
Right. Like that easily could have been a loss as well. Like there's a very good scenario where the Bears, who by the way are still 0-7 on the road. I think their last win at home or on the road was like last November. They could have been in that mix of teams that are all at 3 wins right now that could have top 5 picks this year. Imagine telling Bears fans that in night 1 of the draft after they got Caleb Williams and Robadunze that they're going to have a worse record and be in line for a top 5 pick.
Yeah, I mean, you talked about some of the recent blowouts, but look back to November, back-to-back 29-3 and 19-3 losses to the Cardinals and Patriots, 2 teams that aren't going to make the playoffs.
Yeah. And here's what's alarming to me too. It doesn't feel like every Bears game you watch, they don't play anything close to competent football until the second half once the game is already out of reach. So we're going to look back once the season ends. We're going to look at Caleb Williams' numbers. I'm just telling you right now, this is how the conversation is going to go. We're going to look at Caleb Williams' numbers, and we're going to see his yards and his touchdowns. We'll be like, wow, statistically, he had one of the best seasons for a quarterback in Bears history. He's one of the bright spots. Totally forgetting all of the times that Caleb Williams and the offense were shut out in the first half, held to 3 points in the first half, and how a lot of those yards and a lot of those points came when the Bears were 3 possessions down, like when they were already losing by 3 scores and the game was already over. And then Williams puts up those numbers and we're like, oh, well, see, Caleb, he ended up with 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, they were losing 24-0 when he did that. Like,
the poster child of that one would be that Thanksgiving Day game where they were very uncompetitive in the first half and then a flurry of scores and yards late. I'm with you. Like his numbers are coming. I mean, Justin Fields had better numbers than Caleb Williams. I mean, his team did. The team offense had better numbers with Justin Fields as quarterback.
Yeah, and the game against San Francisco, like what did Caleb ended up with? I know that game was still like the scores 38-13. Yeah, Caleb ended up with he still had 2 touchdowns against the Niners, only 7 incompletions, 17 of 23, blah blah blah. They had how many yards in the first half?
Yeah, like 4.
4?
Something like that. Yeah, it was literally like 4 yards.
Yeah, like
4. Yeah.
That's not good.
No, I'm starting to think that the old Thomas Brown's not going to get the head coaching job.
No. I was wrong there. I thought it would be perfectly Bears for him to trick them into thinking that he was the answer. He gets the job and then everything falls apart. But no, But what's funny though is that Caleb's best period this year were those few games where Thomas Brown was the offensive coordinator,
Right.
to replace Shane Waldron. The second that Thomas Brown is sorry, I can't focus on the offense. Now I got to coach the whole team, is when everything is falling apart again.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. He did. He had a stretch of pretty good play there, and they were fairly competitive. And then the Lions game happened. The Lions game happened, and they had to say bye to Eberflus. Yeah, that's a disaster. And they're going to be a top 10 pick. And what are they going to do with that pick? Yeah, I mean, you're obviously not taking a quarterback this time. You don't need to take a receiver. Like, and I started thinking about that Rome Odunze pick. Like, should that have happened?
Well, I'm fine with it because Keenan Allen, I think, was only meant to be like a short-term sort of guy there. I don't like Keenan Allen's been pretty solid, but he's not going to be extended, is he?
Right.
Not when you already have DJ Moore locked up, and not when you just drafted Rome Odunze.
Right. You wouldn't think.
So Keenan would just be a short-term answer. So yeah, I mean, I'm fine with Rome Odunze there, but yeah, when you consider that he was taken ahead of Brian Thomas, Brian Thomas looks like a stud.
Yeah.
Lad McConkey looks like a stud. Yeah, it's I get it. I mean, he's had a couple good games, but yeah, he's not very consistent.
Yeah. No, he doesn't strike me as a guy like, yes, like he's going to carry this offense like Caleb to Rome. Like it didn't. That just. I thought maybe that would be a thing if Caleb Williams was really good this year. Rome would be his guy, but it hasn't been, and it's just been a disaster for them in these last 3 games. They got an interesting stretch here because they're playing Sunday, Thursday. I mean, so they played Monday. They got Monday, Sunday, Thursday. So they literally have 3 games in like 11 days.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That'll go well. Yeah, Lions, Seahawks, and then end with the Packers in Green Bay, right?
Yeah, yeah,
awesome. Yeah. You sold your ticket for the Seattle game, right?
I did. All my Bears tickets sold.
You ended up profiting. Yeah. So the investment of the Bears season tickets paid off, despite them being 4-10.
Well, I mean, yeah, they have 8 home games and about 5 or 6 of them sold by the time they were. I mean, they were like 4-2, and I only had like 2 games left to sell. Right, like people had already bought the Packers, they'd bought the Lions, they bought the Patriots. The early games, Bears fans were loving it because they were 4-2, they were winning at home, they were competitive. And then these Christmas ones, like the Lions this week and in Seattle the day after Christmas, like they probably could have sold for more. They would have sold for more if this team was still competitive, but it still profited. It was a good experiment. Thank you, Chicago Bears. Thank you. I didn't go to
all you needed was a good start just to get the hopes really elevated.
Yes, exactly. Like a good draft. They had the good draft night. They looked like they were adding players in the offseason. They went on Hard Knocks. They got a rookie quarterback. He sold jerseys, and he sold tickets.
Yeah. Like if they started with the 8-game losing streak.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the last 4 or 5 would have been difficult to sell. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, mid-season became a little bit of a grind to sell. I mean, let me run that down real quick. I forgot some of the teams they played, but it was kind of that stretch right before the divisional one. So you had
the Patriots in that mix.
Patriots were a little bit tough. They had a Panthers game in there. Now they won that one, but there was a few in there that were a little bit tough. But Packers was obviously easy. Everybody wants to go see the Lions. People like seeing the Vikings. Overall, I wonder do we know who the NFC North plays next year? We don't know that yet.
We should. I could probably just tell you. Hold on.
Well, they're going to get a last place schedule.
Yes. So the Bears next year. Let's see. Future Chicago Bears opponents. I love that the NFL does this, by the way.
Yeah.
Like it just makes it so easy to prognosticate. All right. So I see They play the AFC North. It's not super easy. They'll
Yeah,
be
but
at
that's
Baltimore, at Cincinnati, hosting Pittsburgh, and hosting Cleveland.
that hosting Pittsburgh's
And then
tremendous
yes,
because
and then they
Steelers fans
play
will battle. Go ahead.
yes, and then they play the NFC East. They host Dallas and the Giants, and then go to Philly and Washington. I mean Dallas. So you got Cowboys fans, you got
Yeah.
Steelers fans.
Yeah.
Those are pretty two legacy fan bases there that would be coming to Chicago. So you got that. So those are your two like divisions, and then they would host last place in the NFC South. So I think they would host Carolina again.
Again. Yeah.
And then they would go at the NFC West, whoever finishes last there. So is it going to be San Francisco who finishes last?
Yeah.
So then at San Francisco again.
Yeah.
I gotta say, AFC North, NFC West, at San Francisco, plus 2 division games each against the Vikings, Packers, and the Vikings. That's a very hard schedule.
Yeah, for a team that's only going to win 4 games this year. Yeah.
That's a very hard schedule. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I mean, if you're looking ahead, that's having Pittsburgh and the Cowboys come to town. Let's do it.
Yes. And a Giants team that might have Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward.
Yeah.
So there's some intrigue there. I mean, really, like the only home game that I see where it's like kind of a dud, I would say the Panthers won, and then like Cleveland.
Yeah, but I mean, Cleveland fans might travel, and that may be early enough in the season where you know it's nice out. It's not too cold. People are. I mean, yeah, it's not going to go for huge money, but that'll sell.
I love this, man. We're spending the last show of the year doing Chicago Bears 2025 schedule talk. This is perfect. This is why we need producers to like keep us focused, because otherwise it's just going to become this.
It's also why it's the stupidest sports show on earth.
Right. No, this is what the people want, man. Believe it or not. They write to us, be like, please, let's talk about the Bears 2025 opponents.
Boom.
All right. I didn't really figure out a way to sort of predict the rest of the season. Since this is our last show, though, I think we don't come back, though, until the regular season is done.
Right.
So
right. I think we're looking at
pretty much our last chance here. So we have 3 NFL weekends to cover. Now, we're not going to go game by game and give our predictions here, but like we've already covered a little bit of some of the races. Like we've looked at Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Yeah.
I would say, even though one of my Garen 3s back in week 7 was that Atlanta had the division wrapped up, I did not foresee the Falcons losing 4 in a row, Kirk Cousins falling off a cliff, Baker Mayfield losing Evans to injury, Godwin to long-term season-ending injury, and them turning around. But I think Tampa Bay is going to win that division. What about you?
Agree. Tampa Bay wins the NFC South.
All right. Who wins? So this is how we'll do it. I'll go through some of the closest races right now for the playoffs of the division, and we just give our predictions. So NFC South, we're both taking Tampa. NFC North. Suddenly, the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings are tied. They play each other week 18. The Lions, as we've mentioned, are battered beyond belief. By far and away the most injured team in football. They just lost David Montgomery. Yet they still have Goff, St. Brown, Gibbs, Laporta, Sewell on the offensive line, Man Campbell. Like they still have sort of their real foundation. Who wins the NFC South or the NFC North?
Minnesota has the Seahawks, the Packers, and the Lions. The Lions have the Bears, at 49ers, and Vikings.
And Vikings and by the way, week 18 is in Detroit.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the Detroit Lions because I'm going to trust Jared Goff over Sam Darnold. Even if Minnesota is 1 game up heading into week 18, Detroit wins that game at home. In week 18, tie And then they win the division because they beat them twice.
Yeah, they would have the tiebreaker. So
I'll take the Detroit Lions.
yeah. So if they go, so they can lose at
the
San
49ers.
Francisco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beat the Bears. Lose at San Francisco. Still be in good shape to beat the Vikings in Week 18 and win a division.
And I'm not even saying that they would particularly, like, I'm not saying I think they would lose to the 49ers. They can. I don't think they would, but they can. But yeah, I'm with you there. It bodes well. That win that they had at Minnesota was huge.
Yes.
That was huge. That probably will be all the difference. But the fact, I don't think I've ever had a take as bad as saying the Minnesota Vikings would finish 3-14.
Yeah, no, that was bad. That was bad. I didn't have them being as good as they were. I didn't really catch on to Minnesota until about week 3 or 4 when I was seeing the praises of Kevin O'Connell. But I can't say that I thought they were going to have 2 losses at this point.
I think when they absolutely murdered the San Francisco 49ers back in week 3 or 4, whatever it was, I think that was the moment where we're like, oh, shit.
Yeah, these guys can play.
Yeah, things are a little different now. All right, so the Detroit Lions win the NFC North. I will agree with you. However, the Lions end up with the number 1 seed? Or will the Philadelphia Eagles steal the number 1 seed? Because we said the Lions can go, let's say they go 2-1, right? So they're 3 losses. The Eagles end the year at Washington, hosting Dallas, hosting the Giants. I'm curious if Sirianni is going to want to play his starters week 18 or if he's going to want to sit his guys, what the plan is there. I really don't know. But I mean, 3 divisional opponents, 2 of them at home. There's a decent chance the Eagles can end up running the table here. And what would it be? Because they started the year 2-2, so they would be on a 13-game winning streak going into the playoffs.
Yeah, which is scary. But I will take the Eagles to be the number 1 seed. I think they do run that table. I think they win at Washington. I think they beat Dallas. I think they beat the Giants. And let's be honest, Nick could sit his starters against the Giants and still be favorites, right? Like Kenneth Gainwell or whatever you wanted to call him earlier is still going to be enough to beat your New York Giants. So I will take the Eagles to win the 1 seed. That would put the Lions at the 2 seed.
I'm going to believe in Man Campbell and the Lions. I'm going to believe that they hold on to the 1 seed, but I'm afraid. I'm afraid. Like the injuries are. I'm afraid.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
Rightfully so. And I think folks in Detroit are as well.
The NFC West. Suddenly, the Rams and Seahawks are both 8-6. Arizona, meanwhile, is just 1 game out at 7-7. The 49ers are sneaking in there 6-8, just barely in the hunt. Who, Rodney, wins the NFC West?
Yeah, so they say Geno might still be able to play, which obviously is, a must for Seattle because Sam Howell's not gonna get that done. Seattle hosts the Vikings this week. That seems like a difficult game for them. At the Bears, and I've said for a long time I'm taking Bears money line, but I don't know if I actually truly believe that. And then at the Rams in Week 18, so that is not an easy schedule for them. Rams are at the Jets, and I know you're a little bit concerned about the Rams going to MetLife.
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know, man. Like just the cross country trip. I don't know, like the Jets offense has seemed to find something. Like Devontae Adams is starting to look like the Devontae Adams of old. I don't know. I feel like we're not giving the Jets any sort of shot there, and I'm not so sure. But anyway, but
Rams then host the Cardinals and the Seahawks in their last 2. I mean, I still want to think San Francisco maybe can. I just don't know how San Francisco's going to find a way at 6-8 because the best they can do is 9-8. Somebody's going to win that Rams Seahawks game. So I think we got to consider San Francisco dead, right? Like they've got to officially be dead, right?
Yeah. So the Seahawks Did the Seahawks split against the Niners? Yeah, Seahawks split against the Niners. Rams beat them twice. So they definitely don't have the tiebreaker against the Rams.
Right. And so then you think of Arizona, and like Arizona's at the Panthers. So like, yeah, winnable game. Now that's a West Coast going east as well. And then they've got the Rams and 49ers. So like, this is a tough one for me. I'm just going to spitball and say the Rams win the NFC West because I think they have the best of the best healthy roster in that division right now.
Mm-hmm. Probably best quarterback right now.
Yeah, best quarterback situation, best healthy running back run situation, best two receiving core situation.
Yeah, and
you
best
could
coach.
Best coach. You could argue JSN and Metcalf are right. I mean, but Metcalf hasn't been real good recently. Not as good as Puka and Cooper Kupp. Although Cooper did come up with a 0. But I'm going to take the Rams.
Yeah, if my gut is telling me the Jets. Now, granted, I've never been right about the Jets at any time this week, so that probably bodes well for the Rams, honestly. But if the Rams win Sunday at MetLife against the Jets, they have the division in the bag to me. They'll have it wrapped up. Yeah. They'll be in good shape. So is that every division is? Well, no, I mean, the Eagles are the only ones that have the division really locked up, but the NFC, there's a ton of questions there.
Yeah.
So a lot can change between now and the end of the year. Meanwhile, the AFC, the Chiefs are going to end up, I mean, they're 2 games up on the Bills with 3 weeks to go. I would imagine, because Mahomes, I don't even think was listed on the injury report, or if he is, he practiced in full today because that devil magic is just too strong in Kansas City.
Yeah.
Kansas City's going to end up with the 1 seed, right?
Yep.
All right, so they'll get the 1 seed. Buffalo probably ends up in a good spot with the 2 seed over Pittsburgh. Yeah, Pittsburgh has okay. Well, this is interesting. I guess we could ask this. So Pittsburgh has a 1-game lead right now over.
And they play this week.
Yes, and they play this Saturday. They also then both are part of, because this is the part of the Steelers season that they really got screwed over.
Yes.
Because they play a Saturday game.
Yep.
And then they play Wednesday, Christmas Day.
But so do the Chiefs. But so do the Chiefs. The Chiefs have to play. Yeah. And so it's all 4 of those teams have to play. That's how they're doing it. They're just basically rotating who they're playing. They're playing on Saturday, and then the same 4 teams are playing Christmas Day.
That's right. So the Steelers are at Baltimore, which that is a huge game.
Yep.
Hosting the Chiefs and then hosting the Bengals week 18. The Ravens, meanwhile, are at the Texans. I think Baltimore wins. I think, but I don't know. I'd like to think so. And then it's Christmas. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Steelers then at the Texans Christmas and then hosting Cleveland, which should be a win there.
No, I'm taking Baltimore in this division. I have them winning Saturday, which would then tie it up. And I don't like the way, Pittsburgh needs George Pickens back. And I assume he's on his way back. They have to get him back. They have to get him back healthy. If not, Russell Wilson has nobody to throw to. I mean, it's bare pickings there in Pittsburgh without him. In fact, would you be surprised if the Steelers still make they're going to make the playoffs, but would you be surprised if they go to the playoffs on a 4-game losing streak? Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals. I mean, they can lose all 4 of those games.
We talked about this with the Steelers a week or 2 ago, and we said this is going to be the stretch here where we really see what this team is made of. And if it was like what we saw against the Eagles, I don't feel very confident with them.
No, they would still make the playoffs, but they would fall to like a 6 or 6 seed, and maybe turn around and play Baltimore again.
Yeah,
there's a really good chance. There's a really good chance we would see a playoff game between Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
Yeah, which that would be fun to see them.
Yeah, part 3
play each other in the playoffs.
Yeah, part 3. If Baltimore, whoever wins the division would host that game, but yeah, that would be fun.
So if they split, so then it becomes conference percentage or is it division? How would they determine the tiebreaker there? I don't
No,
know.
I know. I can't keep track of division. I can't keep track of tiebreakers anymore. But I think just outright Pittsburgh is going to struggle and lose a couple games here. And I like the Ravens to maybe even run the table. Steelers, Texans, Browns to finish out. But I've been higher on the Ravens all season, and they have 5 losses. That team should not have 5 losses. Give Derrick Henry the ball.
Yeah, I picked the wrong week to play Derrick Henry. I'm sorry that I thought that Derrick Henry would run wild against the Giants backups. Oh, my mistake. Of course, Lamar threw 5 touchdowns or whatever it was.
Yeah, how about that? The DFS gods. Play Saquon Barkley, they said. Play Derrick Henry, they said. Play Devon Achane, they said. All 3 of them.
Bust. Yeah. It's funny. Does it feel like normally this is around the point in the season where the Steelers are kind of middling throughout the year, but then they turn it on the last few weeks and then they make their playoff push. Meanwhile, Baltimore is in cruise control through the first 14 weeks, but then something starts to look off. Maybe Lamar gets a little banged up. That's how it's been the last few years, and now I feel like they've totally reversed.
Yeah. This will be interesting to see how Tomlin can figure this out for Pittsburgh, because we talked about weeks ago, Pittsburgh on short rest is nowhere near like they are on full rest. So they're actually going on short rest back-to-back games here with the Ravens and Chiefs. So I'm taking Pittsburgh to lose both those games, which opens it up for Baltimore.
And then the only other race that I guess is still in talks. It's funny, like the NFC, I look at the NFC and I'm like, oh, like we're just looking at Seattle as a team where it's like, oh, they have to win the division or else they're not going to make the playoffs. Even when they're only a game behind Washington. Like Washington's spot isn't locked up either. And Seattle could get in that way, or even in Atlanta or Arizona could get a wild card spot. But like the AFC, I'm looking and I'm like, are we sure that it's going to be the Broncos and the Chargers? Are we 100% certain there? So I'll ask you, because the Chargers right now are down to the 7th seed. They're 8-6. The teams that are behind them, you have the Colts, the Dolphins, the Bengals.
With
all
6
of whom
wins.
are 6-8. There's a 2-game difference. And you have the Chargers who beat the Bengals head-to-head.
Yeah.
Is there any, and I know like I have been waiting for the Bengals to make that run all year. It hasn't happened. You have been much higher on the Dolphins than I have, and a lot of people have, and thought that they had an outside chance. Is there any way that the Colts, Dolphins, or Bengals finds a way to make the playoffs?
No, because the Chargers, while they have a lot of pressure on winning Week 16 against Denver, and that would be icing on the cake for them because they would essentially then be in the playoffs, they still have the Patriots and Raiders after. And the Patriots and Raiders don't even necessarily even want to win those games. I think the Chargers, with those 2 games on their slate, 2 of their last 3. Now they've lost 2 in a row. So again, there is pressure on them to win tomorrow, Thursday night's game. That's a big game for the Chargers. Do think they can win that game at home, but if they don't, I still like their chances at grabbing 2 wins. And even if they don't get 2 wins, who's to say Miami, Indianapolis, or Cincinnati runs the table and even gets to 9? Chargers make the playoffs. I'll take the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, because I'm looking at the Colts right now. So the Colts have the Titans, Giants, Jaguars. It's a very easy schedule to wrap up the year for them. But losing to Denver. So even if they tie Denver, which Denver is up by 3 games. So Denver has a tiebreaker no matter what, because they won head-to-head. So they would need the Chargers to
go 1-2.
To go 1-2, which you just gave the schedule. It seems doubtful. It would be losing to Denver, and then just who do they end with? It's Patriots and who? Raiders?
Yeah. Not going to happen.
Patriots and Raiders, right. So Patriots or Raiders would have to beat the Chargers. It's not going to happen. So the Colts are done. Yeah. Dolphins end with who?
I mean, don't they have the Patriots twice, right? Or is it the Jets twice? No, they've already played the Jets. I can pull that up. Dolphins have 49ers, Browns, Jets. They're not even going to beat the 49ers. I think
At
San
home.
Francisco. And then they have to win week 8. Then they have to win week 18 at the Meadowlands in the cold. I mean, we've seen the old Dolphins in the cold.
And Cleveland in the cold too, even though Cleveland's bad. But Cleveland.
I'm sorry, but my Dolphins are done.
Okay, so those two are done. You can laugh all you want. And I've mentioned it to you before. The Bengals out of those three are the only ones to me that have any sort of shot. Now, this is the only thing that they need, though. They absolutely have to have the Chargers win Thursday night.
Okay. That's a bad game. The Bengals don't like that Thursday night game because those are both the teams they're chasing.
Yes, but this is what they're looking at here. So the Chargers need to beat Denver, even it up. Bengals then host, who is it? They host Cleveland, right? So then they move to 7 wins. They're 2 games behind Denver. Then they play each other, them and Denver, week 17. That's a game in Cincinnati. It's on the 28th. So is that Saturday, Sunday? Is that a Saturday game? Okay. Right. So Saturday. So they host Denver head to head, which is why I'm saying that they need to be in that position to beat Denver because they can't do it with the Chargers. They already lost to the Chargers. So if the Broncos lose the next 2, which they could at Chargers, at Denver, Bengals beat Cleveland and the backup quarterback, beat Denver. Then you go into week 18 where Denver has Kansas City. That's the one where it's kind of tough because then Denver is, or Kansas City's probably resting their guys. So it's a little bit tough. And then Cincinnati is at Pittsburgh, week 18, which Pittsburgh might be having to win the division. So it probably falls apart a little bit by week 18, but you're seeing that there is a very slim chance here that
you are grasping at straws, bro.
I am. I totally admitted that. I 100% admitted that. But this is what needs to happen. It's not totally out of the it's not so far fetched, is what I'm saying.
I mean, it kind of is. It kind of is.
It is when you get to week 18. And again, it all falls apart if Denver beats the Chargers. Then it's over.
Yeah. So, it could fall apart in 48 hours from now. Yeah. So, all of your next 3 weeks could literally be over in 48 hours.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, technically they wouldn't get eliminated if Denver wins, but then they would need the Chargers to lose out, which would mean them losing to the Patriots and then again to the Raiders, which is it's an impossible thing. So
yeah, those teams don't even want to win. They want their draft spot.
That's far-fetched, which is why I said they absolutely it only starts if the Chargers can win on Thursday night at home against Denver. And I think they can. And then from there I'll let you know how it goes. But there you go. Do I think it'll happen? No. But it is, of those 3 teams, the Colts, the Dolphins, the Bengals, that is why it's the likeliest that the Bengals are the only ones that have a shot. But
I mean, we need a little week 17 and 18 NFL drama, though.
We do. We absolutely do. I just wish that the Chiefs would have lost 2 of those freaking 1-score games, and then we would be sitting in a position here where they would have something to play for week 18.
Right. No, I understand that. But instead they don't. They have 1 loss.
No. Yeah. So there you go. That's it. Predictions. So I think I remember what we all said. Not much. So pretty much AFC kind of stays as is, except you have Baltimore flipping with Pittsburgh, winning the division. Right. And then NFC, the only real change is Philly over Detroit for the 1 seed.
Yeah, that's what I have. I have Philly 1, Detroit 2, Rams 3, Tampa 4. That would put Minnesota 5. Was it Green Bay 6? And then Washington 7? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That sounds good to me.
Yeah. So Washington, so they have Philadelphia, because they're 9-5. I've just assumed that they're going to get in, even though, as I mentioned, it's not a sure thing. Yeah, they have Eagles at home, Atlanta at home on that Sunday night game, and then at Dallas.
Yeah, but
It's not,
like
not
no, I mean in the Rams and Seattle are only a game behind, but like they play each other, and Seattle
right,
has the Vikings this week, and the
right.
I
Yeah.
don't love the loser of Rams Seahawks NFC West to win that
Mm-hmm.
wild card spot.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, could it be Atlanta?
I doubt it. I mean, yeah, you're going to have to see quite a bit from Penix with 7-7 record. I mean, 2 games back, Atlanta
Well,
Giants, Commanders, Panthers.
they would beat Washington head to head.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no,
So
yeah. I guess you could see Tampa and Atlanta both being 10-7.
yeah, because Atlanta could
What?
win out. One of those wins would directly be against Washington, and yeah, Washington loses to Philly. Yeah, I mean, if Washington loses to Philly and Atlanta runs the table, Atlanta's in.
Yeah. Yeah, and Tampa could run the table and still win the division, and both those teams make it. Yeah, I could see that because Tampa with the Cowboys, Panthers, Saints, they both could. Yeah, you're right. I still think Washington finds a way. I've been hot and cold on them, but I still think they'll probably find a way.
Yeah, the last 2 weeks, that man, I wasn't thinking about it in the moment, but that game against New Orleans on Sunday, where the Saints score on the final play of the game, the touchdown, and they decide, hey, instead of going to overtime, let's go for 2. If Washington loses that game, if Radler gets the 2-point conversion and they lose, then we are looking at a very, very, very different picture in the NFC playoffs and the race for that 7 seed.
Oh, definitely at 8-6. Yeah, because you're tied. You're tied with Tampa. You're tied with the Rams. You're tied with Seattle, and now Arizona's only a game back. Yes, that was a huge non 2-point conversion.
That's the anti-Bears to win that game, to be on the winning end of the Hail Mary.
Yeah. No, Washington's had some luck, and that's why, as the 7 seed, if they're going to have to play a Detroit or Philadelphia, they're probably in trouble.
Yeah. I'm looking. Yeah, their strength of schedule this year is by far and away the worst of all of the playoff teams. 408 strength of schedule. Where, to put it in perspective, Atlanta's is 556 strength of schedule. So yeah, Washington has definitely benefited from the last place schedule and had a few things break their way. I mean, it's the NFL. Like certain teams will have that luck, and then other teams won't.
Right.
All right. Real quick. This is the week, the college football playoff. We kind of broke these matchups down a little bit, gave our predictions when they were announced last week. Friday night, we have the 1 game, Indiana against Notre Dame. Again, the first round, all these games are at the actual stadium, so this one will be at Notre Dame Stadium. And Saturday, we got the triple header, SMU at Penn State, Clemson at Texas, Tennessee at Ohio State. I believe when we last spoke about this, Rodney, we took Notre Dame. Was that the only one that we were for sure on? Because I think we were kind of debating about the others here. But
I took Notre Dame home. Yes.
Yeah, I'll say Notre Dame wins that one. They're a touchdown favorite. Penn State's an 8.5-point favorite. I mean, SMU, props to them for keeping it close against Clemson in that comeback. And I know that we have the whole big game thing with James Franklin, but at home, I feel like Penn State wins this one.
I'm taking the Mustangs to win this one straight up.
Wow. What am I missing there? What's the reason?
James Franklin.
Is it James?
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. They're Penn State's 2 losses this year. It was Ohio State and Oregon.
Yeah. 2 really good teams.
2 really, really, really good teams. Now they're at home against SMU. I can see a cover. I don't know. I despite all of the talk of James Franklin, I would be shocked if Penn State loses this game outright.
Yeah, but you know who Penn State's next best win was? Outside of would be Penn State's best win. You know who Penn State's best win was?
Was it like Illinois?
It was Illinois.
Did they play Illinois this year?
Yeah, it was Illinois, 21-7, and then it was USC.
Yeah, which at the time looked much better than it actually.
33-30. Yeah. It was Wisconsin who was dog shit this year. 28. They didn't even make a bowl game. It was a bad West Virginia team who is 6-6. I'm taking SMU straight up in Happy Valley. It's not going to be so happy on Saturday. Sad Valley.
I mean,
I'll be here all night.
Clemson, Texas. This is one. Texas is a 12-point favorite. Yeah, you're going all in. I was gonna, man. I feel like we're the opposite here. I was about to tell you that I think Clemson makes this really interesting here. Yeah, hooking them.
Yeah. So I find it interesting. Quinn Ewers probably is going to be transferring out of Texas.
Well, he's declaring for the draft. No,
I don't think so. He wants to play another year of college football, and it might be somewhere else because I think Sarkisian's going to say, "Okay, Quinn, you can play somewhere else because I want to play Arch Manning next year." No, Quinn says he wants to play another year of college football.
Wow.
This whole transfer portal is so stupid. But anyways, I'm going to take Texas to win this one.
Did you see the photo of Bear Alexander? Speaking of transfer portal,
I did not.
So he was a former defensive lineman at USC. His photo, he just transferred to Penn State. It's him. So his Twitter profile photo is still him in a USC uniform. He posted his photo of him wearing his new Penn State uniform, flexing his arm, and on his bicep, he had a tattoo of the Georgia Bulldogs logo.
That's college football.
That's the transfer portal in one photo, my friend.
Yeah. That's college football. I mean, the Penn State backup quarterback who actually gets some snaps during games because they use kind of the 2 quarterback approach. He's in the transfer portal, and programs are telling him they do not want him playing in the college football playoff.
Penn State's backup?
Yep, because if he's going to commit to their school, they don't want him playing in the college football playoff. So like all these guys, like they can't even finish their season because they've got transfer portal and people want them.
It's insane. Drew Aller, I've seen a lot of people think that he has some really solid NFL prospects, by the way, but he announced that he's coming back to Penn State. Probably why the backup is now transferring, which makes sense with Drew Aller coming back. But so you're taking Texas here?
I'm taking Texas. Yes, I'm taking Texas.
And then Tennessee, Ohio State. That's a fun one. Ohio State's a 7.5-point favorite. This is another one. It's Ryan Day and a big game. And Tennessee looked like a potential top 5 team early on in the year. They slowed down a little bit, but I think this will be a real fun one here. And I like a lot of these underdogs to cover. Maybe not Indiana. I think Indiana gets rolled. But Tennessee, Ohio State, what's your lane there? Because I think I have a slight lean toward Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, betting line, I think I'm taking Tennessee. I think Ohio State probably finds a way to win this game, but 7.5 seems like a lot. Tennessee's awfully physical, and I'm not sure that Ohio State wants to get in that battle with them. I don't know if Ohio State's all that tough.
No.
I will take Tennessee to cover this one. I do think Ohio State probably finds a way to win the game, though.
I mean, it's a crime to plant your visiting flag on the field now in Ohio. That's only tough teams instill that as a law. Make it a felony. Yeah. Okay, so in official Rodney bracket land, so he has SMU then facing Boise State in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, Boise wins.
You have Notre Dame against Georgia in the Sugar Bowl.
Georgia wins.
You have, who'd you say, Ohio State against Oregon in the Rose Bowl.
Oregon wins.
And then you have Texas against Arizona State in the Peach Bowl.
Texas wins.
All right. So then in the Orange Bowl, Boise State, Georgia.
Georgia wins.
Oregon against Texas in the Cotton Bowl.
Oregon wins.
And then Georgia, Oregon championship, January 20th.
Georgia wins.
Whoa. Look at that. With no Carson Beck. His limp arm.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's why we're the stupidest sports show on earth, because that's a really stupid prediction.
I have not looked much at what where the money is, because not everyone is just pouring it on Oregon. I know Oregon's probably the favorite, but I feel like there's probably a good amount of people that are looking at the way this bracket is playing out and saying, Notre Dame has a really decent shot here.
They do. They
Like
have
Indiana.
yeah.
Then if they beat Indiana at home, then they get Georgia in a game that against probably their backup quarterback. And then they face one of Boise State, SMU, or James Franklin, Penn State.
Yeah. No,
And
I'm
then
with you.
they win that, they're in the national championship.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. They do have an opportunity, but it is, after all, still Notre Dame, and until they actually get it done. But by the way, as I mentioned a couple weeks ago, Marcus Freeman went from getting fired at the end of the year because he lost to Northern Illinois to being considered a candidate for the Bears job to getting extension from Notre Dame. So congratulations to Marcus Freeman on the roller coaster of his 2024 season.
Good job, Notre Dame.
Good job, Irish.
Good work. All right. Let's wrap up the show, shall we? We've gone a little over.
I think it's good, yeah.
We wanted to do a fun one, though, for our last show of 2024. But first, let's get to best bets for betting. And for the first time, Rodney, I'm very excited to do best bets for betting recap. This is just a recap for you. And let's start with your number one. You had Army.
Yeah, not good. Not good. I thought Army was the better team, but Notre Dame was actually the better team. Notre Dame absolutely destroyed Army in this one. They had the better mobile quarterback, and congratulations. Navy smoked Army. And Army showed that they were frauds. Not just the game we bet them, but they were frauds and should not be considered for one of the top 12 spots. So good job, Navy.
I will avoid calling Army a gutless choking dog, though, considering that they are still ultimately our nation's Army.
Yeah, thank you. We salute you guys.
Yes, we salute you.
But the boys over at Navy smoked you, so sucks to be you.
Number one, I went NBA Cup, the semifinal. By the way, congratulations are in order officially to the Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo, Damian Lillard combining for 49 points, fueling the Bucks to a 97-81 win over the Thunder. 7-0 record in the NBA Cup. Doc Rivers, you are an NBA Cup champion. Anyway,
I always knew he could do it.
Yeah. All those people that said they were fools for firing Adrian Griffin and hiring Doc Rivers. Now who's laughing? Ha! Anyway, the Thunder in the semifinal on Saturday, they pounded the Rockets. They were only a 5.5-point favorite. That was an easy win. So we got off to a good start there.
Good win for you. My NFL pick on Sunday, my first one was the Eagles over the Steelers. And it was a good one. Eagles won. So I've gotten to this point in NFL where I bet good teams. Seems to be working.
Usually works. Now I decided to do the opposite of that for my second best bet, and I targeted two bad teams: the Cowboys against the Panthers. The Panthers, as we mentioned, were the favorites for the first time in like 8 years. But I was like, that seems like a bad idea. Cowboys took their money line straight up. They won by 17. Pretty bad game overall, but another win, 2-0.
Another team that I bet, and they're good, is the Buffalo Bills. Now, Detroit's good as well, but I love that scenario for Buffalo. They did the job. Josh Allen is Superman. He is the MVP. Buffalo Bills picked up a win for me. And I even mentioned I would to consider taking them money line. So,
yes,
there it is.
Yeah, Rodney knows ball.
I know.
My third best bet for betting: the Broncos were hosting the Colts. Something about Anthony Richardson playing the leagues, and I don't know if you know this, the Denver Broncos have the NFL's top scoring defense. It's not just Bo Nix. It's a very good defense. And Anthony Richardson and the Colts going to that environment, I was like, 4 points, don't like it at all. Give me the Broncos, and the Broncos crushed them. Now, it was a pretty close game up until the fourth quarter, and then the Broncos just rolled, but Broncos win 31-13, so that's a 3-0 record right now with one game left.
Yeah, Sunday night did not go well for me. I liked Seattle to win that one at home. Did not go well. Green Bay looked good. Josh Jacobs got the ball like 682 times. In fact, every play during the first drive went to Josh Jacobs. That's kind of impressive and kind of cool. I don't really have anything to say more than I took a loss here. Seahawks did not cover.
How are the Seahawks 3-5 at home?
Yeah, not good. Not good. They look really poor, actually, in that game. Even with Geno, it was not good. And then Sam Howell came in and It didn't look real good. So I went 2-2 on the week.
Since I capitulated about the Eagles, are you going to admit that the Packers might be better than you thought they were?
I mean, the Packers are good. Yeah. They are. Problem is the NFC is pretty talented.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to win 3 road games to reach the Super Bowl. I mean, just think about this. They're gonna have to win like at Tampa, at Detroit, and at Philly. Could be a scenario.
Yeah.
That's like the 3-2-1. I mean, basically win on the road at the top 3 seeds in the NFC.
Yeah. And if it's not Tampa, then it's the Rams. Like,
yeah, at LA, at Philadelphia, at Detroit.
Yeah, that's tough. It's a tough road.
It's tough.
It would be better if they were in like the NFC South.
Yeah.
But I digress. All right, Rodney. I have one more best bet. How did it go? It went very well. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 3-point dogs at the Chargers. I had a hunch. Like, I'm not discounting Baker Mayfield and them boys. And not only was the hunch correct, Buccaneers covered and won 40-17. Statement game for the Bucks. And that, Rodney, I believe, my first 4-0 for best bets for betting.
You did go 4-0, and now I am 35-22-2 in my best bets for betting. And you have started to become around a little more respectable now at 25-33-1.
Well, so this is 7-1 in the last 2 weeks with these best bets, and yet the record is still that bad, which just shows you the hole that we needed to climb out of.
Yeah, you were bad. You were bad for a long stretch.
Bad stretch, yeah.
2025 will be better though. We'll have a new slate of best bets for betting, and when we'll get to our Substack, will be nice and shiny. I can't wait.
Shiny.
Yeah, nice.
It's getting some polishing right now.
Correct.
All right. Should we do Barry Bondstat, or should we honor our number 31s in the sports world?
Yeah, let's honor number 31. So 31st show and our final show of 2024. Greg Maddux comes to mind for me at number. I didn't put a slide together. Greg Maddux comes to mind, the 4-time Cy Young winner. Would be the number 1 guy on this list. But don't forget about Reggie Miller. Could be a 1A, 1B type situation, depending on what sport you like more. His sister, Cheryl Miller, also wore number 31 as well. Clay Thompson?
Sounds right.
Yeah,
I
believe Clay Thompson. Yeah, so, I mean, it was some pretty good 31s. Bob Gibson wore 31.
That's a good one.
Mike Piazza wore 31.
Clay Thompson. So Clay Thompson's wearing 31 now with Dallas, even though he was number 11 with Golden State.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so he's 30. You know, he was. Yeah, I mean, we remember him as 11, but yes, he is wearing 31. Dave Winfield, I believe, was 31 as well. So some pretty good ones. Not our best.
No.
Not our best, but actually pretty solid. There's some pretty good ones here. 32 when we get to January will be pretty good.
Yeah, we're gonna have some really good ones. So 31 to me always felt like a good baseball one. But once we do 32, 33, 34, we're gonna be loaded with basketball ones.
Max Scherzer, 31 as well.
Max, to me, it feels like he has a few numbers though in his career. Maybe I'm making that up.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe what's 31? Because I see 21 with the Mets. I see 31 with the Nationals. Yeah. I think probably 31. Yeah, 31 with the Dodgers. So yeah, I think 31 is probably his one. It's funny. He's a Hall of Fame pitcher, and if you asked me what his number was, I don't think I would have been able to tell you.
Right. Oh, I agree with you. When I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, Max Scherzer's 31.
Do we pay less attention to jersey numbers nowadays in general?
Probably. Yeah. Probably.
Rodney, a gun to your head right now. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's a top 5 player in the NBA. What's his number?
26? No. I don't know.
34.
No. 30. Yeah, 34. Okay. You're. Yeah. I mean, gun to my head, I lost.
Yeah. Yeah.
34. Well,
There
that's
you go.
coming up. That'll be in January.
That'll be a teaser. But it's just fun. Like it's the Greek Freak. It's
Yeah.
top 5 player in the NBA now for the last, I don't know, 6-7 years.
Yeah. And we don't know his number.
Yeah. Is that an us problem? Is that an NBA problem? I don't know. That's a discussion for another day. Let's do Barry Bonds stat. He was number 24 and then number 25. I can tell you that because Barry Bonds is amazing. And our final Barry Bonds stat of the day for the year of our Lord 2024. And I can't remember. I apologize if we did this already. I feel like we haven't though, but I'm going to tell you anyway. If you took away every stat from Barry Bonds' 7 MVP seasons, you won the MVP 7 times. That's a stat in and of itself. But if you took away every stat from those 7 MVP seasons, Barry Bonds would have finished his career still with 440 home runs, 359 stolen bases.
That's pretty good.
No, by the way, no other player in MLB history has as many home runs and steals combined as Barry Bonds has, minus those 7 seasons. So he would still be the all-time leader home run steals together if he didn't have 7 historic, amazing MVP winning seasons.
He's pretty good.
Yeah. Sorry that I was not able to entertain you. That yawn said enough.
I mean, the yawn is 10:20.
The
yawn is 10:22 at night. No, that's a good one. And I get to the point on these Barry Bonds where I'm like, yeah, wow, he's amazing. That's really good.
When we come back on the air in 2025, will Nolan Arenado be a St. Louis Cardinal?
No, probably not. I mean, I don't know how much heat there actually is to this Houston rumor. But I feel like, I know in your division, I feel like Houston.
Well, it's not even that. It's gross. Like, why after just getting Paredes? Like, I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't know. That's why I wonder how much heat there is. So, I mean, I don't think we plan on coming back till the 7th of January. So we're looking at 3 weeks, basically 3 weeks from tonight. I can't imagine Arenado is going to continue being with them over 3 week span. I could see between a Christmas and New Year type trade.
Yeah. Yeah. But then again, I also wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those things where like they hold on to him a while and they're kind of just waiting to see how the market plays out. Like once free agency is really done, and then a team that missed out on Bregman or whoever else is like, well, crap, now we need to get someone. And then that's when they like negotiate the move for Arenado. Like he's sort of the fallback plan.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're smart, if the Cardinals are, because they don't have to trade him. And I think they've made that fairly clear. Like we would like to, but we don't necessarily have to. And I think Arenado is like, I'd kind of like to be traded, but I really don't have to be. I mean,
he's like, don't get me wrong, I'm fine with the Cardinals. It's just like at this point, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and he has kind of the final say, really. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it's a great question. 3 weeks. I do think he'll be gone within 3 weeks. Yes,
that'd be sad. Him and Goldschmidt. Yeah, it's a new era of Cardinals baseball for you. Good way to end the show, I guess.
Michael Ciani era now, boys. Michael Ciani.
It's an era no one wants to be a part of.
No.
All right, Rodney. Well, this was fun, man. 31 shows in 2024. We will have many more in 2025. January 7th, I believe, is the date that we talked about, that Tuesday. So it'll be right after the NFL regular season ends. So we will have lots to recap. We'll be talking about the upcoming NFL playoffs. We'll be looking at a couple more college football games. Should be fun. Should be some good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, baseball will have more news by then. There's gonna be a lot going on. So yeah, looking forward to it. We'll have some new plans. I'll start rolling those out over our Twitter account. As you can see, you can follow us at Stupid Sports Show, no W on Twitter. That's where you can find all the information. And looking forward to it. So yeah, we'll see everybody January 7th.
All right, sounds good. Well, on behalf of Rodney, I am Tim, the Nigerian Nightmare Van Stratton, and we'll talk to you next year. Have a good Christmas. Have a great New Year's. Enjoy 3 weeks of football. Can't wait to revisit all of our predictions. And on that note, talk to you later. See you guys. Step right up, dummies, and listen to the stupidest sports show on earth with Rodney Newpol and Tim Van Stratton. Yeah.